Welcome to this ARC401 final project. The design parameters for this urban farming community included 19 dwelling units, at least 8,000 square feet for a community market building, parking for 10 cars, 5,500 square feet for a site utility service structure, 6,400 square feet of water retention, and at least 15,000 square feet of vegetable gardens and 12,000 square feet of groves. In order to minimize the amount of impermeable surface and reduce runoff and increase the amount of ground available for gardens and groves, the parking, driveways, community market structure, and site utility structure were all snugged together in the northwest corner of the lot in order to shrink the length of the driveway and to allow each of those site elements to better support each other and the site. Since the site is in Phoenix and includes photovoltaic power generation, the sun is both an asset and a liability. The angle of the roofs is identical to the latitude of Phoenix itself in order to ensure that the rooftop photovoltaic receives the maximum average solar exposure. This diagram also shows why the site will get significant sun from the east, west, and south as the Earth rotates. The bodies of the dwellings themselves act as a shading device against low-angle morning and evening sun. Each of the units opens up onto its own courtyard, and each unit's courtyard adjoins and contributes to a larger community courtyard. The courtyards themselves have different sizes and adjoin one another so that several distinct spaces, which are linked together, can still host separate events or gatherings. The first strategy for providing privacy and separation from the urban environment is to have all front doors open onto a courtyard that is part of an interior-facing community courtyard. The dwelling area is situated in a site that is itself surrounded by roads, parking lots, places where strangers will be present, from which residents will want protection from views and noise, not only in their homes, but also in the courtyards. Accordingly, the dwellings are set back from the road along the eastern side of the site and obscured from the roads and even from the community market building by rows of orchards. The water detention area lies between the dwellings and the orchard along the northern boundary, toward the right of this slide. You can see from this perspective how the trees shield the community visually from its surrounding environment. A close look shows that the 2-foot eaves of the roofs also completely shade the entire south face of every dwelling structure at 2 p.m. on the summer solstice. In Phoenix, shielding against a 45-degree altitude angle will completely shade windows during the worst of the solar exposure in the year. At the right of this picture, you can see that the roof edge following windows are in deep shade at 2 p.m. on the summer solstice. This view from the south walkway toward the northeast shows the shade pattern and the relative privacy in the south courtyard. This view in the northwest courtyard shows the importance of the buildings themselves in creating shade and privacy. This view from the west walkway toward the northeast underneath the community market building illustrates how site elements support one another. The parking spaces are not underneath the community market building, but the community market building provides full shade to the parking spaces in the afternoon. The market structure shares roof design elements with the dwellings. The design leverages the market building as a covered pedestrian access. To preserve the roof line while rotating the units requires dramatic alteration in window layout. Early plans were refined to shorten the driveway and improve privacy and pedestrian circulation.